video, I will be talking about the album Dehumanizer by Black Sabbath. It was released on June 22nd, 1992, and the album is celebrating its 30th anniversary. It's the last official Black Sabbath album with Ronnie James Dio, although he did reunite with the other band members in 2009. That album was not technically a Black Sabbath album, but it was under the name Heaven and Hell, and that album was called The Devil You Know. A lot of people would consider that a Black Sabbath album, but going back to Dehumanizer, came out at an interesting period. It was right in the middle of the grunge days. Actually, when this album came out, I didn't really know about it too much. I was always a Black Sabbath fan, but with Ozzy Osbourne, but I didn't really get into Dio until many years later. But what's interesting is that the previous Black Sabbath album came out in 1990 called Tear. That one had Tony Martin. That same year, the Dio band released Lock Up the Wolves. That's in 1990. And then in 1992, Dehumanizer came out. Then a year later, Dio returned to his band to release Strange Highways in 1993. Then Black Sabbath brought back Tony Martin for Cross Purposes in 1994. So this was kind of like a one-time thing for Black Sabbath. It's also interesting that this lineup reunites the Mob Rules and Heaven and Hell lineup. It has Ronnie James Dio, Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, and Vinny Appice. So he was the original, actually the original drummer was supposed to be Cozy Powell, but he had a hip injury. So, they had Vinny Appice. With this lineup, they reunited the four members from that 1980 to 1982 period. So it's an interesting album. It's a heavy album, and I think it has a sound similar to what Ronnie James Dio was doing with his band. I find a lot of similarities between this album and the songs on the Dio albums with the darker themes, talking about televangelists, with the song TV Crimes, the rise of the computer age with Computer God, and lots of other things I'll talk about in the video. So let's go through the songs. There are about 10 songs, and let's talk about them. So the first song, Computer God, and it's a heavy, classic Black Sabbath style song. It has the slow and heavy guitar riffs by Tony Iommi. Ronnie James Dio sings in his classic style. There are some isolated vocals at one point, and the song talks about computers taking over the world. So keep in mind, this is 1992, just a few years before the internet age. So it's kind of presented in a way of technology taking over our lives. So the song has a slower atmospheric breakdown with Ronnie James Dio singing in a smoother style. And this is bringing back a classic Black Sabbath sound. After All the Dead is a very haunting and eerie song. It has a slow pace similar to early Black Sabbath albums. The lyrical content is about the afterlife and how nobody knows what's on the other side. If you are a fan of classic Black Sabbath from the early 70s, this is definitely a song you would like. The song is a good mix of the heavy, distorted, sustained power chords and riffs, and clean guitar riffs that are kind of layered on top, creating a haunting sound. TV Crimes is a straightforward heavy metal song in the style of what kind of the Dio band was doing. The song's about televangelists. They were very popular in the early 90s, and they would always go on TV asking people to send them money. So a lot of metal bands wrote songs on this particular topic, like Metal Church, Suicidal Tendencies, and Metallica. It was a popular topic in the metal community. Letters from Earth is a song that has a classic Black Sabbath sound, similar to the Heaven and Hell or Mob Rules album. It has slow chugging guitar riffs, and Ronnie James Dio sings in his classic style. Another good song for fans of classic Black Sabbath. What I like about this song is that it's filled with lots of great riffs. Master of Insanity is a cool song. The thing that stands out in the beginning of the song, you get a really cool bass playing by Geezer Butler. The song is classic Black Sabbath, has slow, haunting, heavy guitar riffs. The song's about how people are losing their freedom and they're letting an overpowering dictator take over their lives, or at least that's my interpretation of it, and it's just classic Black Sabbath. Time Machine is a typical Black Sabbath song with a sound similar to Heaven and Hell, or maybe the Mob Rules album. The best part of this song is the short bass interlude right before the guitar solo, but otherwise it's a decent song. Sins of the Father is a different type of song. It's Ronnie James Dio singing in Black Sabbath during that technical ecstasy or Never Say Die period. So the band does kind of go back to those albums to capture that particular sound. The song has some chunky signature Black Sabbath style riffs. It's a really good song. They use some cool guitar effects in the song and just filled with some great guitar riffs. Too Late is a typical Black Sabbath ballad with a haunting melodies, similar to a song like Children of the Sea. It's a slow building song with lots of melody. They incorporate some heavy riffs, and when the chorus kicks in, it's just really cool interlude, has some classic bass playing. Then it's the song I, and this is probably the best song in the album in my opinion. It's just classic Dio era Black Sabbath. There's a really great chorus, and it's the kind of chorus like you want to sing along to, but you don't sing along because you're not going to ever sound like Dio. But it would be like one of the last great Dio songs that would ever like be recorded for this band. And the part at the end kind of actually sounds like Ozzy. There's a part where they sing like no, no, no. I actually thought that was Ozzy for at 1 minute, but I know like there was never a duet between Dio and Ozzy. I don't think that exists. If it does, let me know, but I don't think it does. And the last song, Buried Alive, is actually like a really heavy song. Possibly one of the heaviest songs ever recorded by Black Sabbath. It's a really good one, has some hard driving riffs. The song also has some melody. The chorus kicks in. It's a really good song, has a really classic heavy metal sound. And in conclusion, it's a classic album. The last like official Black Sabbath album with Ronnie James Dio. It's a good album. It's really heavy. The songs are all good. Let me know in the comments what you thought. So I think this is like a really good album, but I know some people like it, some people don't. So let's talk about that in the comments. And my next video will be an anniversary review for the album Meantime by the band Helmet. That was a band that was really into back in the early 90s. So please remember, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.